In the last two videos, you started to realize something uncomfortable, that your mind might not be entirely yours, that it might be influencing you, controlling you, guiding your life, without your awareness. But now, we go deeper, because what you're about to understand is not just about control, it's about truth, dark truths, the kind most people avoid their entire lives. Carl Jung believed that the human mind is not built to face itself completely, because if it did, it would see things it's not ready to accept, parts of itself that don't fit the image it wants to believe. And that's why most people stay asleep, not because they can't see, but because they don't want to. Because the moment you truly understand your mind, you lose the illusion of control, the illusion of identity, the illusion of certainty. And what replaces it is something much more real, but also much more unsettling. In this video, you're going to discover 5 dark truths about your mind, the ones Carl Jung believed most people never face, and once you see them, you can't go back. You are not who you think you are. The first dark truth is that you are not who you think you are, not completely. Everything you believe about yourself, your personality, your preferences, your identity, is only part of the picture. Carl Jung believed that the conscious self, the you that you are aware of, is only a small fragment of the mind. Beneath it, there are layers, hidden influences, unseen forces, parts of you that exist without your awareness, and these parts shape who you are. More than you realize, that means something unsettling. The person you think you are is incomplete. There are aspects of you you've never met, traits you've suppressed, impulses you've ignored, desires you've denied, and they don't disappear. They stay, they grow, they influence you from the shadows. Carl Jung called this the shadow. And the shadow is not just darkness. It's everything you refuse to accept about yourself, everything that didn't fit your identity, everything that made you uncomfortable. And because you rejected it, you lost awareness of it, but not control. Because the shadow doesn't need your permission, it operates quietly, in the background, influencing your thoughts, your reactions, your decisions. This is why you can act in ways that surprise you, why you can do things that don't match the person you believe you are, because there's more to you than what you see. And until you face it, you will never fully understand yourself. You avoid the truth about yourself. The second dark truth is that you avoid yourself, not consciously, but constantly. You avoid your flaws, your fears, your insecurities. You distract yourself, you justify, you ignore, because facing yourself is uncomfortable. Carl Jung believed that people will do almost anything then to avoid confronting their own mind. Because self-awareness is not always pleasant. It reveals things you don't want to see, patterns you don't want to admit, truths you don't want to accept. So instead, you stay distracted, you stay busy, you stay comfortable, and your mind stays hidden. Your mind creates illusions. The third dark truth is that your mind lies to you, not intentionally, but constantly. It creates stories, narratives, explanations to make sense of things, even when they're not true. Carl Jung believed that the mind prefers comfort over truth, so it creates illusions. Illusions about who you are, about what's happening, about what things mean, and you believe them, because they feel real. But they're not always accurate, they're interpretations, distorted by your past, your fears, your expectations, and if you don't question them, you live inside them. You are driven by what you don't see. The fourth dark truth is that most of what drives you cannot see, not clearly, not directly, and that's exactly what makes it so powerful. Because when something is visible, you can question it, you can challenge it, you can resist it. But when something operates in the dark, beneath your awareness, it controls you without resistance. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious mind is not passive. It is active, constantly, silently influencing everything you do, your choices, your desires, your fears, your direction in life, and yet you're not aware of it, which means something unsettling. You are not always choosing your path. You are being guided by forces you don't fully understand. Think about your decisions, the things you want, the goals you chase, the people you're drawn to. Why those? Why not something else? You might say it's your preference, your personality, your choice. But what if it isn't? What if those desires are shaped by something deeper, something hidden, something you didn't consciously choose? Carl Jung believed that the unconscious contains not only memories, but also instincts, archetypes, and unresolved psychological content. And all of that pushes you. In subtle ways, you feel attraction, without knowing why. You feel resistance, without understanding it. You feel drawn towards certain paths, and avoid others. And it feels natural. It feels like this is just who I am. But it's not always that simple. Because when you don't see what's influencing you, you assume it's you. But influence is not identity. Control is not choice. And the most dangerous part is that you don't question it. You follow it. Without hesitation, without awareness, you build your life around it. Your habits, your relationships, your decisions, all shaped by something beneath the surface. And here's what makes it even more disturbing. Sometimes what's driving you is not aligned with what you truly want. It's aligned with what you've been conditioned to want, what you've been taught to fear, what you've been programmed to pursue. And until you bring that into awareness, you will keep moving in directions you didn't consciously choose. You will keep chasing things that don't fulfill you. You will keep avoiding things that could transform you, because something unseen is deciding for you, and you're just following. So the question is not, what do I want? The real question is, where is this desire coming from? Because the moment you start asking that, you begin to see what was hidden. And when you see it, you start to take control back. But until then, you are being guided by what you cannot see. Most people never wake up. The final dark truth is the one most people don't want to accept, because it's not about your mind, it's about reality. Most people never wake up. Not fully, not deeply. They go through life, thinking they are aware, thinking they understand themselves, thinking they are in control. But they're not. They're following patterns, repeating thoughts, reacting automatically, living inside mental loops that they never question. Carl Jung believed that true awareness is rare, not because it's impossible, but because it's uncomfortable, painfully uncomfortable, because to truly become aware, you have to face yourself. Not the version you like, not the version you show to others, but the real version, the one hidden underneath, the one filled with contradictions, with fear, with insecurity, with darkness. And most people don't want to see that, so they avoid it. They distract themselves, they stay busy. They fill their minds with noise, so they never have to sit in silences and confront what's really there, because silence reveals, and what it reveals is not always pleasant. It shows you your patterns, your fears, your unresolved parts, the things controlling you from behind the scenes. And once you see them, you can't ignore them anymore. That's why most people choose not to look. They stay in comfort, in routine, in distraction, because it's easier, it's safer, but it's also control. Because the moment you stop questioning, you start obeying. You obey your thoughts, your habits, your fears, without resistance, without awareness. And that becomes your life. A life lived on autopilot. A life shaped by forces you never challenged. A life that feels real but isn't fully conscious. And the most dangerous part, it feels normal, because everyone around you is doing the same. So it never seems wrong. It never feels like something is missing. Until one moment, something shifts. A realization, a question, a moment of awareness, and suddenly you see it. You see the patterns, you see the control, you see how much of your life was never truly chosen. And that moment changes everything. Because once you wake up, you can't go back to sleep, you can't unsee it, you can't unknow it. And from that point on, you have a choice. Stay aware, or fall back into the same patterns. Most people choose to go back, because awareness is heavy. It requires effort. It requires honesty. It requires change. But a few don't. A few choose to see, to question, to understand, and those people are no longer controlled. So now the question is not, is your mind controlling you? The question is, are you ready to wake up?